Hello everyone, I'm Brian, and today I'm going to be reacting to Arnab Goswami with Sadhguru in Conversation with the Mystic. 2017, so this is a long time ago, but anyway, it's going to get started. Conversation starts at 1:27.
Sadhguru, it's an absolute pleasure to be with you today. I have a large audience. I have a mic. I have no time limit. I have not been on air for 3 months. I'm completely starved. They've told me to have a conversation with you. And there are some of my guests who come on my program who have been probably missing this. It's wonderful to be with you. I have spent some time with you one-on-one in the past. We've had conversations. The one thing which I've always found about you is that you're so normal. You're so...
That's an insult.
You're so
What? I'd say that'd be an honor.
I do a news program. You're turning this to an entertainment show. Can I please proceed? You're a wonderful person because I find you straight. I find you direct. I don't find you pretentious. I think you speak so much common sense. You say so many deep things in a very understandable way, which explains your popularity and why so many people have turned up this evening to listen to you. I was told that the theme of Rotary has been success, service, and spirituality. We'll try and start off by talking about that, and you can take it forward from there. What is more important, success, service, or spirituality? Choose one of them.
Ooh. I want to answer this to see what is more important, success? I mean, it depends on what success. Successful to be in spirituality or in service. You know, success is success isn't something that, I guess they're talking more along the lines of business. Service is serve other people, or spirituality. If Sadhguru doesn't say spirituality, I'd be amazed. Personally, me, I would say, again, it all depends on how you define spirituality, success, and service. I guess in a sense, service, because it makes you less of a selfish person, if that's defined correctly. To serve other people, not as a slave, obviously, but to enjoy doing service to other people, and those, of course, everyone else being in service of other people as well. We're all selfless.
If you're whether you do spirituality or service, you want success in that also. You want to be successful.
Yeah.
Because the very purpose of any human activity,
To be successful.
whether it's something small that you do or something large that you do, something very simple as hitting a ball, you want to be successful. You don't want to do it in a goofy way.
There's a buzzing sound I'm hearing. It's not me. It's… don't know what that is.
Even if you blow your nose and want to throw the tissue into the bin,
You
want to be successful.
Yes. Yes.
I'm saying something so silly. Also, you want to be successful. The biggest human activity. This means…
Okay, let me pause that. That was weird. Since we're doing it in a way it works. The purpose of activity is just that it must work. If you find something in a way it doesn't work, and you think it's big, you are in the wrong place. Success is what you're doing things the way it works. The purpose of activity is just this. It must work. I mean, you want it to work, for sure, absolutely. If you do something in a way that doesn't work, you think it's big, you are in the wrong place.
somebody else says, you're doing things you're…
Okay. Well, this is from Sadhguru's website, so I guess there's an issue with the recording
What
here.
happens when a person is individually successful but at the cost of others? I personally often think that people turn to spirituality as an alternative to their own success because they feel guilty about their own success and want to make up for it through spirituality.
That's weird. How you define spirituality? There's been many definitions of that. I guess I just don't look at it as spirituality. I mean, just being a decent human being, that's not, in my opinion, being spiritual. But it could be. I mean, but no, just being a decent human being. I mean, if you have to, if in order for you to be successful, you have to destroy people or ruin people. That's not a good way to be successful. I'm amazed that there are people actually who have done that and become successful, which is trashy.
Let's understand what is spiritual process. If you're thinking in terms of spiritual process means you look heavenward, no. This has been cultured, these things we've picked up in the last few centuries, otherwise it did not exist in this country, of looking up,
The West.
Upperwala, doing things. This is a huge problem, which I'm trying to change dramatically now. If little things go wrong in your life, you find one little person there and think it's because of him. If big things go wrong in your life, you find that big guy there and you think it's because of him. This guy is absent. It's time to bring this guy into account. He's been unaccounted man for too long. Small things, this guy, big things, that guy, what about this guy? It is time. My endeavor is to move people from religion to responsibility.
That is my I want to make a video about my way of life. Responsibility and understanding are the two key things that I've developed I've really held on to those two things so far. There's a third one actually. I gotta write these stuff down so I can start saying them. But responsibility and understanding.
Because spiritual process means this. What you're referring to as spirit is that which is the basis of your body. When I say that which is the basis of your body, you were not born like this. You came with such a small one and now you become like this. If you put a banana into this, it becomes the same kind of body. If you put a chapati into this, it becomes the same body. So there is an intelligence and a dimension within us which builds you from within. How can any human being know life without addressing this dimension? What is sitting in the hook? Right now, there's an advertisement about the leather, about the woodwork. Systems, does it being paintwork?
Wow, okay. What kind of system does it have? Nothing, because people are just driving paintwork. So if your life is such that you just live with your body in your psychological process…
That you just live with your body and your work and leather…
You're just Wait, that's what he just said, right?
Without taking…
Without taking charge of this, you will only be a fraction human being, not a
If
full
you want
human being.
success,
So if you want success and if you want to do something useful to yourself and to
normal
everyone
for human
around
intelligence
you,
to
first thing is spiritual
question.
process. But even then, you need success, otherwise it's no good. Yeah, success, obviously, there's success, you cannot choose success. I mean, if you either choose success, spirituality, or service, success would be the best thing because you become successful at everything. Your spirituality, your service, whatever else there may be.
Because you see people dying every day, somewhere or the other.
See, not influenced by anyone, you don't need any guidance.
Okay,
But very few people grow up without any
Folded
influence. By the time you are 12, 15 years, you're pretty screwed up in so many ways. But because there's so many adults around you, always wanting to teach you something which has
beyond this
not worked in their lives.
body what?
Please keep asking me, I was in the United States for a
Before
few
this
months
body
ago.
what?
There is a lady very angry with me. She says, I am doing yoga for the last 40 years. Nothing
Is it not a
happened to me.
very normal question?
You just went and sat on a rock and all these happened to you?
But
She thinks it's something
But-
special rock. The only thing I did was right from my childhood. I never got identified with anything.
because
Either my parentage, my family, my society, the religion around me, social structures around
they messed you up telling
Me.
you,
the political stuff, whatever's happening, I never got identified
oh,
with
you
anything.
came from
If you keep your intelligence unidentified, you will naturally become
heaven and
spiritual.
you'll go back
It's not normal for this intelligence to ask the question, what is beyond
to
us?
heaven and this is what will happen.
It is not very, very normal for human intelligence to question.
That's what about
Because you see people die every day somewhere or the other. I'm hoping the video is going to correct itself pretty soon here. I'm going to play it and let's see what happens.
things that they don't have a clue. Everybody's talking.
It's not a normal question because they messed you up telling you, oh, you came from the heavens and you will go back to the heavens. This is what will happen. That's what about things that they don't have a clue. Everyone is talking.
With authority.
With authority.
Because of this, now it looks like somebody has to guide you to a spiritual process. If you bring up your children without a single advice, if you're capable of that, it's very difficult, believe me. You know, when my daughter was just 3.5 months old, she was traveling with me. One hand on her and my right leg is always full down, and I drove across the country and she grew up like this with me till she's 5, till she went to school. Every day we are in a different home, staying with all kinds of people, everybody wants to teach her something. I said, one rule is nobody will teach her anything. No ABC, no 1, 2, 3, no Mary had a little lamb, because I don't care whether Mary had a lamb or not. So you won't believe, nobody taught her anything. By the time she's 18 months, she fluently speaks 3 languages because she's all ears, because nobody talks to her. She just grasps everything around her because nobody is teaching her anything. And she grew up like this, and when she was 12, 13 years of age, one day she came up to me. She just came back from school, disturbed about something there, and she said, "You're teaching everybody so many things, you're not telling me anything." I said, "Well, I don't do anything unsolicited. Here you come now, let's see." So this is all you need to know.
So what I want to know is how human you are.
Let me tell you, this is how human I am.
I haven't finished my question.
No.
I want to know how human you are, Sadhguru. Because, and the reason I'm asking you this is because very often we want to be guided by people who we feel have transcended the insecurities of humanity. So I want to know whether you're scared of something. I want to know whether you experience fear, and I would also like to know whether you have attachments. Can we start with the first?
Do you fear anything?
Let me finish this.
I don't want to answer that.
This is not news hour, okay? When I'm telling you an answer, you can't ask me another question.
I'll get back. I'll get back.
And we're not yet in Republic either.
You're making a cardinal mistake, Sadhguru. In 2014, I met a young man called Rahul Gandhi.
Oh.
I don't know why anyone's laughing again. He too interrupted me like you did. I got back later. Please continue. But you'll have to answer my question later. Please go ahead.
You have a different package here. So, I will come to that. I'm very much going towards that. So the girl comes to me and says this, then I say, "See, this is all you have to know. Never look up to anybody." She looks at me, "What about you?" kind of thing. I said, "Not even me. Never look up to anybody. Never look down on anybody. This is all the teaching." If you don't look up to anything, if you don't look down on anything, you will see everything just the way it is. If you see everything just the way it is, you will navigate your life effortlessly. That's all it takes. Now, how human am I? You just now used the word human and…
Sorry, that was pretty good advice. I was gonna say, if the question was answered to me, I guess this is, again, this is the things that my way of life, how I experience it, I hope to teach other people, is it's okay to learn from other people. That's just being open-minded. It's not to say you must follow their ways. It's to listen to them, analyze what they say, and how your experiences compare to that. to their information, to their advice. Whether you've experienced it, say, oh yeah, I've tried that, it didn't work, so it's not good advice, or I've not tried that, I might want to try it. But the thing is to, I guess, understand, listen to people, understand the situation, take into consideration what other people say about how people act, take responsibility, so that whenever you hear advice from people, you say, I am going to do this. Not because they told me to, but because I heard them, I understood them, I like what they said, so I will do it. Take responsibility for your action. Don't say, oh, I'm doing this because he told me to. No. Don't ever do that. You don't do something because someone told you to. You do it because you want to do it. You take responsibility for your action. That's very empowering. That's what I would advise people. So again, nothing wrong with learning from other people, but whether you do something or not, it's all up to you. Not because someone told you. If you do something that someone told you, you gotta make sure that you are doing it because you want to.
Almost everybody, everywhere I go, they use the word human, always referring to the limitations of being human, never talking about the immensity of being human. Oh, I'm only human. But why are you not saying, I'm human? You're on top, you're the top species on the planet. You're supposed to be in the top of the pile of all the species. Why people are saying, I'm only human is because they're suffering themselves like no other creature.
Sorry, I'm going to answer that question. Why do I say we're only human? That is, to me, whenever I say I'm only human, that's a very humbling thing to say, because I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I'm the top of the food chain. I am merely humbling myself to understand that I am not perfect, I am not super strong, I'm not super smart, I'm not super perfect, invincible, or whatever. It is merely saying that I have flaws and I understand that I have flaws. That's why whenever I say, oh, we're only human, we are human after all. I've said that before, and that's to acknowledge the fact that we are imperfect beings. There's nothing wrong with being imperfect. Understand that we are imperfect, and that we have to understand the mistakes that we make so that we can become better.
Not an ant or an elephant suffers themselves as human beings do. If their stomach is full, they're fine. For a human being, stomach empty, only one problem, stomach full, 100 problems.
I like that analogy.
The reason is, this is an evolutionary thing.
Yeah.
It's an evolutionary thing that what you call as your cerebral flower, this brain, is new to you. You know, in the evolutionary scale of things, it is a new happening, this intellect. And most people have not figured how to handle it. They're not suffering the world, they're suffering their own thought and emotion most of the time. Why is it? Your education systems did not even teach you how to handle your thought, how to handle your emotion. Now, the moment you say you're human or not, first thing, the next question somebody will ask is, can I pull a gold chain from thin air? Can I do something else? Or can I pull out a rabbit from the vessel? Or can I pull a pigeon out of my pocket? If I pull a pigeon out of my pocket, what will you have? You will have a bird, I'll have a shitty pocket. This is not going to change anybody's lives. I will show you a miracle. I will show you people who are full-on activity, not people who are sitting in some cave. Full-on activity, all right? 20 hours a day, 7 days of the week, we're all on. I'll show you people for 5, 10, 15 years, they've not had a moment of anger, agitation, irritation, nothing. They live joyfully, blissfully. This is the miracle the world wants. This is the miracle the humanity needs. If this happens to you, you will not refer to human as a limitation, you will talk about human as a huge possibility.
My question was about whether you need to transcend a few things. I personally think it's all right. It's good to feel fear, it's good to have insecurities, it's good to be attached. But what we are constantly told is to be guilty about fear, to be worried about expressing or being open about
That's multiplying the problem. Now you have fear, now you have guilt.
Sadhguru, I listen to you.
I still watch News Hour, so what can I do?
This doesn't usually happen to me. But Rotary Club, well, okay, so you made me forget my question. My point was that we are constantly told to be embarrassed about our insecurities, right? We are told not to have attachments. We are constantly told that in our lives and in our own Hindu philosophies and other philosophies to lose attachments. I want to know why this is necessary, which is why I asked you, because you were described as an enlightened soul, which I know you are. I asked you whether an enlightened soul like you feels insecurity, experiences attachment.
See, this is where, again, the two things, understanding and responsibility, come into play about, oh, you're constantly being told. Be responsible for your actions. Why you're feeling insecure, or understanding at that. Understand why you're feeling insecure and take responsibility in how to solve that. If you don't know how to solve that and why you're being, or understand why, if you understand why you're being insecure, for the most part, you won't be. So understand first and foremost why you're being insecure. Why are you insecure? And then and then take responsibility. So what's the solution? Again, this goes back to still understanding too. What's the solution? Work on your solution. And if you're working on it, that's great. You're taking responsibility. You are empowering yourself by doing something about it. I mean, and this is again like Sadhguru says, you know, you can't control the outside world. So, I mean, if people tell you stuff, I mean, people don't know you. If they don't know you, then it doesn't matter what they say. I mean, again, you could consider what they say if they're genuine words, but if they're just being an A about it, then, you know, don't worry about it. That's the way I look at things.
See, why this has come up is because people have a selective sense of involvement. This is what I said when I said, do not look up to anything, do not look down on anything. This is because if you look up to something, you will exaggerate. If you look down on something, you will exaggerate the negative. The moment you look up to something, you will get attached to it. The moment you look down on something, you will get dejected by it in some way, disgust will come. So these emotions of fear, insecurity, attachment, detachment, everything is a consequence. Shall we handle the source or shall we handle the consequence? People are always busy handling the consequence. They're telling you, trim your fear. Can you trim it? No way is it going to work. Now you're flipping on the other side and saying, we need not be ashamed of it, let's have it. Is it a pleasant experience, I'm asking? Is fear, insecurity, guilt, whatever, is it a pleasant experience? If it's a pleasant experience, keep it, it's up to you. If it's an unpleasant experience, is it a choice? I'm asking you just this much. In the world around us, what happens? It's a different issue. World will never happen 100% the way you want it. Even if you're just two people in the family, still it doesn't happen 100% the way you want it. If it's 51% your way, you are the boss, okay? More than that won't happen. But what happens within you must happen your way, isn't it?
And sorry to keep pausing, but this is the thing that he keeps repeating in a lot of his speeches. A lot of people ask him questions, and he keeps saying this exact same things over and over again, because life can be that simple. It is. People see life as something overly complicated, so hard to understand. But in reality, it is pretty simple. It can be, let me put it this way, it can be very simple. And Sadhguru has simplified it with this phrase, is the fact that you can't control things around you. You're always worried about the consequence. You're never looking inside to see how things affect you, how you can control your own actions. And no matter, again, because you can control what happens in this body and not externally, you shouldn't worry about the external things and just worry about your body. Don't get me wrong, you should still do your work to the best of your abilities and do things on the outside, but overall you have control over this body. Don't let the external factors affect you. And that's the simple thing that he says in a lot of his videos, and that is something that a lot of people don't understand. Hell, I didn't quite, even though I did some of the things he said, I never quite understood it that way when he first said it. It is very much simple like that. Again, the fact that life is suffering was one of the phrases that I heard that made me understood that you can't quite control life. You can only control a few things in your life. That's how I thought about it. And then now when him saying that you can control absolutely yourself, you can't exactly control everything around you. You may have some control to some degree, but never 100%. 51% you're the boss, according to Sadhguru.
If what happens within you happened your way, would you keep this blissful or would you keep this fearful or miserable or whatever? You wouldn't do that to yourself, isn't it? At least for yourself, you want the highest level of pleasantness. Though what you want for your neighbor may be debatable, but what you want for yourself is very clear, isn't it?
So it's okay to have fear, it's okay to be insecure?
No, I didn't say that.
It's okay to be attached?
I'm asking you,
what
if you had a choice…
And what about ego, Sadhguru? Fear, insecurity, attachment and ego. These are the four things, Sadhguru, that we are told to get rid of. Over a period of time, we are told that as you grow older and you learn more in life, you must learn to give away all four. Pardon me?
Who is your guru?
Who's? Why should I reveal? No, but this is a fact. This is what we are told. Is it necessarily the truth?
Let's go one at a time. The ego. Everybody is talking about this. Right now, in any human being for that matter, if they do something wonderful, they'll say, I did it. If they do something nasty, it was my ego.
Oh.
So, Mr. Ego is a fall guy.
Yeah.
Whenever you turn nasty, he's always there.
I thought he was going to say, oh, it's someone else's fault. Whenever something good happens, I accept it. Whenever something bad happens, I deflect it to someone else. And I guess it's deflected to the ego guy.
But when you do good things, it's of course you, isn't it? I'm saying, let's become straight with life. That sometimes you're wonderful, sometimes you're nasty, sometimes you're joyful, sometimes you're miserable. This is your reality right now. You don't need a fall guy. This much sincerity we must bring into our lives, that what happens from within me is me and nobody else but me.
Responsibility.
If you come to this much, now if you see you're fearful or you're miserable or you're frustrated or you're depressed, if you see it's all because of me,
understanding.
would you not want to change it? Would you not want to change it? 100%. Now, I want to change it, how? Now you're asking for tools. That is why I'm here just giving you tools for transformation. Because tools are important in human life. As human beings, we are dominating the planet only because of our ability to use tools. Otherwise, probably a colony of ants or a pack of dogs could dominate human species. But we can use tools. The power of tools is such. Right now, if I ask you to unscrew a little screw in this furniture, you may lose all your nails, it'll not come out. You may lose some of your teeth, it'll not come out. If I give you a little screwdriver, it'll come out. So similarly, to handle the inner dimensions, there are tools. These tools… this is the USP of this country, which is all messed up right now, that people have not presented it properly. If I give you tools for transformation, the only thing is to learn to use the tools, that's all. You don't have to believe any philosophy, you don't have to adhere to any ideology, you don't have to look heavenward because you don't know in which direction it is. People are looking up. After all, you're sitting on a round planet and the damn thing is spinning all the time. If you look up, you're inevitably looking up in the wrong direction.
Sadhguru, two simple questions. One is, when you experienced what you said, sitting on a rock, and you experienced enlightenment, we spoke about it once. You described it to me. Please don't think it's an absurd question. Why did it happen to you and doesn't it happen to others? A, what did you experience? And what do others have to go through that experience? Are you blessed in a different way? Why did nobody else go through that experience? Everyone seeks it.
Well, everyone is not seeking it, nor was I seeking it.
I would say probably… oh yeah, I guess it's not everyone, but there are people out there seeking it, but are not going the right way, I suppose, not looking in the right direction. They think it's one thing, but it's another.
I was not
trying
seeking
too hard.
Tell me about it.
I must give you some background. When I was just 4.5 years of age,
Looks at a leaf.
I suddenly realized that I don't know anything. I don't know anything means I don't know anything at all. To such an extent, if somebody gives me a glass of water, I would be simply staring at the water for hours on end. I know what is water in terms of how I can use it, but I don't know what it is. Even today we don't know what it is. With all this scientific exploration, we still do not know what a single atom is. We know how to break it, we know how to use it, we know how to fuse it, but we don't know what it is. So, if I saw a leaf, I'm just staring at it for 5-6 hours. I sit up in my bed and I'm staring at the darkness for the entire night. My dear father, being a physician, thinks that I need psychiatric evaluation. You also beginning to think. So he is worried this boy is simply staring at something all the time. My problem is, I looked at this and I don't know what this is. I am not able to shift my attention to another one. What is this? What is that? What is that? What is that? By the time I'm 5, I'm a billion questions. And nobody seems to know anything. Initially, they were all comfortable. I thought, they all know, only I don't know. Then slowly I realized, they have made a deal with their ignorance. Ignorance. They've made a deal with their ignorance. They have all decided, this is how it is. We don't know, you don't know, it's okay. We'll all pretend everything is fine. I couldn't make a deal with my ignorance.
I thought maybe he was gonna say like a deal with ignorance, as in like you accept things as they are and don't question it further, maybe. Like, this is all I need to know about this and that's that, and whatever else is about it, I can remain ignorant about it.
So I just sat there staring at everything. In this condition, they sent me to school. My mother said, you must pay attention to the teacher. I went and paid attention to the teacher. The kind of attention the teacher would have never received in their life. Initially, I heard their words and sort of understood what they were trying to say. But after a while, I realized they are only making sounds. This will be very useful. They're only making sounds. I am making up the meaning in my head. When I realized, they're just, hour after hour, teacher after teacher, they come and make sounds, make sounds and make sounds. I am making up meanings and meanings and meanings. Then I realized this and I stopped making meanings. I just paid attention to the sounds. After some time, it became so amusing, a big smile spread on my face. But they were not amused. Things continued like this. About 8-9 years ago, the school where I studied over 45 or 50 years ago, they came to invite me for their 125th anniversary. I said, see, why me? Because I was not just a bad student, I was not even a student. I only went there when it was a must. They said, no, no, our school has produced union ministers, our school has produced test cricketing stars, film stars, you're the only mystic, you have to come. So I went. So I go there and stand up in the quadrangle to speak, and I look around, same oppressive buildings. Then I look like this classroom, suddenly it reminds me I'm 12 years of age. And those days I wouldn't speak for many days at a time, because when you don't know anything, what to say? So one afternoon, the teacher is trying to get a response from me. He's asked a question and he's waiting for a response. I simply look at him. I say nothing. He can't make out anything of me. And after some time, I don't even see him. It's like that for me. I know his past, present and future, but I don't hear what he's saying. After 35-40 minutes of this effort, he got so mad with me. He came and held me by the shoulder, shook me violently like this and said, you must either be the divine or the devil. I think you're the latter. I was not insulted by this or abused by this. My problem was, what is this, what is that, what is that, what is that? One certainty was there, this is me. Suddenly this guy confused me about this also. I looked, is this divine, is this devil, what the hell is this? I thought this is me, this was okay till then. Suddenly I didn't know what is this. So I tried to stare at myself, it didn't work, so I started closing my eyes. What was minutes then went into hours, went into days, and that is my spirituality. And then
what happened?
by the time I'm 15, I'm almost ready to leave home for an armed struggle. These are the days of Charu Majumdar and Somalu, and I want to leave because anything that I perceive as injustice, my stomach burns, so I want to rush. A bunch of boys, all of us want to leave and join armed struggle. Then when I got very close to them, then I saw they were unfortunately not what they were talking. So I kind of stepped back. Then I became a super skeptic. I grew up in Dostoevsky, Camus, Kafka, this kind of stuff. Skeptical about everything. But
Good.
one thing was eating me, that is these billions of questions, and they started growing. The number of questions went on growing as my intellect grew. No answer. Then the only answer I found was to travel. So initially I cycled across South India, then I motorcycled across India, I crisscrossed India many times all over the place. Then when I was 19 plus, I just, I've been riding since I was 11 without a license. But by 18, the day I became 18, I went and got my license within a week's time. So suddenly I thought I'm super empowered, I can go where I want.
Which you already been doing.
Then I came to Nepalese border and then they stopped me and they asked for a passport. I didn't know what it is, you won't believe, I was nearly 20, 19 at least. I did not know what is a passport, I thought my license will get me everywhere. Then that was a kind of a realization, I thought, okay, I can't cross these lines. So I went back, determined to get myself a passport and some money so that I'll travel forever, because the only thing that cooled me down from these questions was I was moving. I rode across the country alone by myself, simply, not going anywhere in particular. I saw India like very few people would have seen India, in a completely different way. I just walked into villages, just knocked on a door and said, I'm hungry, and they fed me without asking my name, where I come from. Sometimes I was tired, so I slept in their homes. Next day morning I left without asking their name, who they are. But that imagery, those people, those emotions, that stuff, I think it hugely enriched my life. And the terrain, I can run that terrain that I've seen, thousands of kilometers of terrain, is like a video in my mind. I can just run it in my mind and just enjoy India just like that. Not some great monuments or something, just a tree, an outcrop of rock, or this or that, like that. This is how I remember everything, because I never think in words. Even today I think only in pictures and images, not in words. I think that's what keeps me very, very entertained by everything that I do. So then I thought I should make some money and got into business. Became far more successful than people would expect in a short period of time. And everybody started clapping their hands, you're doing great and wonderful. But I was doing all this to get away from everything. But as success came, I try to put one finger, then all the 5 fingers went, then all the 10 fingers went, it'll go right up till here. I think those highly successful business days probably was the most wasted days of my life, because there was no exploration. I did variety of things. I started half a dozen small businesses which all started growing, which people would think is success, but when I look back and see, those 6 years of my life are probably the least creative part of my life.
Why did you do it?
I thought I'll make money and ride away.
Why did you want to make money?
To ride.
To ride?
Yeah, to fill the gas. To put gas in the tank all the time. Because right from the age of 12, 13, I've been riding cycles across South India. After that I've been on the motorcycle, I don't know how to…
Pedal?
You need gas. So I thought I need money to really go away. So it caught me up, and then one afternoon, it's in Mysore city. How many of you are familiar with Mysore city? Okay. There's a little hill called Chamandi Hill. There is a tradition in Mysore, at least there was at that time, for the youth. if we fall out, we have to go up Chamundi Hill. If we have nothing to do, we went up Chamundi Hill. So that afternoon, between two business meetings, I just had about an hour and a half. Without even thinking, I just rode up Chamundi Hill. I have camped there, I have trekked this hill right from my childhood, I know this too well. So I park my motorcycle, climb up and sit on that now famous rock. But I'm telling you, the rock is not special. It's like the Bodhi tree. The tree became more famous than the Buddha. So, I just went and sat there. My eyes were still open. And suddenly I did not know which is me and which is not me. Till that moment, it was always very clear, this is me, that is somebody else. I have no issue with that somebody, but this is me and that's somebody else. Suddenly I did not know which is me and which is not me. What was me was just everywhere. The very rock upon which I was sitting, the air that I was breathing, the atmosphere around me, everything had become me. I thought this madness lasted for about 10–15 minutes, but when I came back to my normal state, it was about 4.5 hours. My eyes were still open. For the very first time in my adult life, tears. Me and tears were impossible. I lived like this. But tears to a point, my shirt is all wet. And every cell in my body is bursting with ecstasy. When I shook my skeptical head and asked, what is happening to me? The only thing that my mind could tell me was, maybe you're going off your rocker. Then when I shared with my closest friends, something is happening to me, it's too fantastic. That, come on, what did you drink? What did you pop? I saw there was nobody around me, nor anything in my mind to tell me what's happening to me. All I knew was, I've hit something which is a gold mine and I don't want to miss it for a moment. And I just discovered this. If I just sit here without messing with my thought process and my emotion, my entire system will burst out in ecstasy. And a few days later, I made a plan, because I thought I'm the first one to discover this at that time, because I had no spiritual… I'm not acquainted with spiritual traditions, I've never read a scripture in my life. Till today, I've never prayed to anybody or anything, nor have I attended any spiritual discourses or anything. So I thought, this is the first time, I know. And I made a plan, in 2.5 to 3 years' time, I'm going to make the entire world ecstatic. Say 35 years. Well, we have touched 150 to 200 million people, but that is not my idea of the world. Slowly, these days I've become wise. Now I realize so many people have so seriously invested in their misery. They are not going to withdraw their investment so easily. It needs so much coaxing and cajoling and life knocking them on their head. So many things need to happen to them, or you have to threaten them with death. Otherwise, they will not withdraw their investments, even though it is causing enormous pain and suffering to them. They are not willing to withdraw their investments in misery. So slowly we are working. I know I will die a failure, but a blissful failure.
I've made a mistake, Sadhguru. My mistake is that I'm constructing a studio for our channel Republic. I constructed it in Lower Parel. Can you tell me the way to Chamundi Hill, please? I want to build my studios in Chamundi Hill. I'll also experience ecstasy every moment. I don't know about my guests.
I can make it happen in wherever you are.
This is fascinating, sir. Life changed after that.
The most important thing is, the perception of who I am changed. I'm not talking the idea of who I am, the perception of who I am. I went up the hill as a smart young man, very cocky and confident about everything. I came down as real nothing. Just nothing means nothing was left in me. I remember that moment. I came down around 7:45, 8. It happens to be a Saturday evening. We are in a construction industry, and Saturday evening is the time when we give out labor to everybody. In front of our office, there are some 500 people waiting. And my partner, I come and park my motorcycle and I still got the engine revving. And I look in and my partner looks out and he can't believe on a Saturday evening I'm not there. He just looks at me like this. I just looked at this entire scene. This is something we built. Built means like every day from morning 5 to 11 in the night, non-stop, I was on sites building this company. I just looked at the expression on my partner's face, he just looked quizzically, "What are you up to? Why are you not here?" kind of look on his face. And I looked at all these people who were waiting in lines for money, the cashiers were giving out money. I engaged the gear and I left. That was my end of my business. Then I loitered around the town because I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to face my mother because suddenly she was no more my mother. Somewhere I was little struggling with that. I knew when I went home, I wouldn't look at her as I have looked at her for the last 25 years. I didn't go there till 11:30 in the night. I wanted her to go to bed, but our mothers are such, she's still waiting. I put my head down and went and said, "I'm not hungry," and I went and locked myself in the room. Because though something so fantastic was happening, I was still struggling between the two worlds. Everything that I considered as myself till that moment was gone. And suddenly I look at people, it's indescribable because so many things that you're involved in, it's like you almost died. I think this is how it must feel when you're dead. So many things you think, this is it, this is it, this is it. But tomorrow morning, poof, the man disappears. Nothing. Doesn't matter you cry, you yell, he doesn't respond. He's completely gone. Just like that, I was completely gone. The person that I was just gone.
Sadhguru, you mean…
Real quick. I didn't really say much because that's just storytelling. There's really not much to say about that one. But that story, I have a feeling, is going to be in that book of inner engineering because I did hear a few parts of it. I haven't continued it yet just because I'm waiting for something again. But that's an interesting story. Sadhguru's life, I do remember quite a bit of it in the book. But again, I can't really speak on stories very much.
meet a lot of interesting people. Who is the most self-aware or the most enlightened human being you've met?
A lot of people around me.
Name some and why?
Oh, usually they are not famous names. The simple people.
Avoiding my question.
No, I'm not.
There must be some
See,
people we know
the most
who you find
fantastic
most
human beings on the planet are usually not well known. Because getting known in the world is a different business. Being wonderful within you is a different business. I'm doing everything possible to marry these two.
What do you think about the state of the nation?
See, we must understand that as ancient we are as a nation, the idea of a modern nation has not really sunk into everybody's minds. I believe the way you have named your new venture, in some way, you want the idea to sink in to people's minds because a nation is not some God-given thing. It is something that exists in people's minds and hearts. It's just an idea that we enshrine in pursuit of common well-being. But it goes somewhere altogether. Over a period of time, people start thinking it is the thing. That's not how it is, but it is the thing, it's an important aspect. Because nation is the largest segment of humanity that you can address right now. If you could address the entire humanity, it would be fantastic. But that's not possible. That's not realistic right now. That may be the ideal, but that's not realistic. So right now, nation is the largest segment of humanity you can address. India as a nation is a world by itself. So though we have a history of what we call as Bharat or Hindustan, which goes back to 10,000–12,000 years of history, though within this geography we had at certain times over 200 political entities, still we were considered a nation. both by people within and those outside also considered this nation, though there were different kings ruling all over the place. Why this happened? This is a unique thing. Most nations or all nations are made on the sameness of something. Sameness of language, sameness of race, sameness of religion, some sameness is important.
And this is what he was trying to point out in that one argument with, was it Joe? About, like, you know, uniting the nation, you have to have some kind of commonality, and you have to expand and grow upon that. Merely having the same language is great, but eventually people will need a little bit more. But at least you need to have one thing that's in common that unites the country. So whenever, in that one video, I can't remember what it was called, but I believe the person's name was Joe. I mean, the thing that united India in the past was the fact they were oppressed against the British. Whenever you have a country or a foreign entity oppressing an entire nation, the entire nation can get behind that oppression. What I mean is they get behind to say, we want to remove this oppression because it's oppressing everyone, and everyone can unite under that, whether they even have the same language or not. They understand that they don't want this, they unite against it. But the thing that unites a nation, I think the demand becomes more and more. It no longer can just become the same language or something the same, because it's something that has become normalized. So it's kind of like having the same language united a nation at one point, but now that everyone speaks the same languages, you start to have different ideas and points that having that one commonality no longer unites the nations anymore. It's kind of like what we're seeing. Well, I guess in the United States, we're all in the United States all speak roughly the same language, roughly, because there's many languages in the United States, and the idea of everyone wanting freedom, but yet somehow we're still no longer being united in a sense. It requires something more. Whenever the struggle becomes so easy, it becomes difficult to unite. That's my thing. That's what I think. And right now, there's a big struggle going on in the world, and a lot of people are uniting because of that big struggle. It is very sad that even in the United States, the country seemed to be torn apart, and then 9/11 happened. United the United States really quickly, like united it really well. It is hardship that really unites people. It's sad to say that, but it's true. I mean, the only way the world will unite together, if there's some kind of alien invasive army that's trying to take over, enslave humanity, or destroy humanity, you bet your butt that Russia, China, United States, Canada, India, Germany, France, UN, just put it that way, or NATO or whatever, will all unite and will say, you know what, we are small fries, we need to unite together against the aliens. It's during hard times where you see humanity pull together. But when it's easy times, we bicker about the simplest things, the smallest things.
We have defied that completely. We have never tried to be same in any sense. If you drive 50 kilometers anywhere in the country, every 50 kilometers you meet different kind of people. They look different, talk different, dress different, eat different. Everything is different about them. But still we have been a nation for over 10,000 years without maintaining the sameness. I think it's an extremely unique and fantastic happening which we must culture, nurture and preserve. What is it that kept us together? Why people outside called us a nation, though we were ruled by different entities all the time? Fundamental thing which made us one nation is that every nation in the world believed in something. We as a nation never believed in anything. We have always been a nation of seekers, seekers of truth, seekers of liberation. Today's in today's generation, this might have gone out of the present lingo, but it's coming back in some other way. In previous generation, if you spoke, in a day, my grandmother wouldn't end a conversation without at least once uttering the word mukti or moksha. It was like day-to-day thing. It's not like at the end of your life you're thinking mukti, or when you go to your spiritual discourse you're thinking mukti. No, in day-to-day life, in conversations, every day mukti, mukti. Maybe that is why today people are shouting azadi, azadi. Maybe it's coming back in another way, but…
You've heard of the ongoing discussion on freedom of expression, and I personally felt pretty outraged last year when a group of people started to make it fashionable to speak against the nation.
We will pause it right there because it's running a little bit over time. So, we're getting to the point where the other video that I reacted to, but I think that was like in 2019 though. So this was a little bit older, and it's amazing to see this again, very similar in the U.S. itself. You know, this rift between the left and the right. And a lot of people are talking about how it's looking like the Grand Canyon, basically a big gaping hole where, you know, the left and right used to be so close to the center where we at least can compromise with a lot of things, but that's growing further and further apart. The people in the middle are getting less and less to where the point we'll just have the far left and the far right, and there's no compromise in the middle. It's just… Well, that's for the next video. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.